This is Lewis Hart for Boxing Social in association with Empire Fight Store, Forged Irish Stout, freebets.com. Delighted to be joined in central London with Adam Smith, the launch today of Summit Sports, a new venture that you're going to get yourself into. I'm excited, excited for today, I guess.
Really excited. It's the big launch of a brand new business, and I think a few of us got together and felt that we want to do this at the same time. It's a synergy, different skill sets between the team. We've merged, and I think Summit Sports is going to be a very exciting enterprise. The key is that we are genuinely passionate about sportsmen and women, and we really want to help them as much as we can do. I mean, we can't go into the ring and fight for them, we can't train them, but what we can do is help them in a sort of 360 degrees way, I believe. And whether that's with, plotting their boxing journeys, or whether it's making sure they invest wisely with money, or whether it's dealing with property, or it's dealing with a second career beyond their sport, or it's legal advice, or it's commercial stuff, it's brands, a whole load of things. But what we can do is, I think, sort of just support them in a really good way. I've worked closely with many fighters over the years. Some have had great success stories, some haven't, and I really love sportswomen and sportsmen. They're my passion in life. I've been honoured enough to commentate on many great occasions, but really my deep underlying, you ask my family, my deep underlying passion is for the athletes themselves. I really enjoyed working with the Sky Scholars when I was at Sky, and now I want to help Summit Sports and give everything back, and hopefully we'll unearth some real gems, not just stars in sport, but stars in life. I think that's really crucial, because the sports career is short, so you want to help them during that, but also in that transition to life beyond. So yeah, really challenging startup business, but very exciting. I was really pleased to be asked by Ollie, and Summit Sports, great turnout tonight, and the hard work starts, well, it's already started. It started a few weeks ago, but it really starts in essence first thing tomorrow morning.
Well, I suppose you've looked after, obviously you've helped Savannah Marshall, many other athletes before. So you had a long experience in sports, and I suppose boxing in a sense has given so much to you. To give back to sport that has sort of made so much for your career, how nice of a feeling is that for yourself?
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it, right? I just saw Hannah Rankin a few minutes ago. I'm very fond of Hannah. She's been an amazing advocate for boxing, and so many have over the years. Ricky Hatton to Katie Taylor and AJ, so many, and I've been privileged enough to be alongside them working for Sky, and I love working for Sky Sports, and I miss it dearly. But new challenges for me, and I think that, the giving back is really important, especially after the battle I've had in the last year. I very nearly didn't make it through cancer, and I'm glad to be coming out the other side. And I've got a different perspective on life, and I guess I want to help more. So yes, I really want to help give back to the sport that I guess I made a bit of a name with, and that I've been associated with. But I've also worked in darts, I've also worked in football, and in other sports, and in news. And so we've got different verticals here. It's not just boxing. I'm director of boxing talent, but we've also got motorsport, and we've got gamers influencers, and we're going to have football, I think, too. So some really exciting cross-pollination opportunities, and I really want to be there holding the athletes' hands and be there on the front line, and just help out as much as I can, give back.
As you said, how important is that for yourself? Because you've worked in so many sports. Obviously boxing is the one I'm most experienced with, and especially in boxing, I'm sure with other sports, there's a lot of interesting characters that could come around with it. So for yourself, and especially just using boxing as an example, there is a lot of sort of shadiness that comes with the sport. Important that from the experience that you've got in 25, 30 years of working in the sport, that you can guide the athletes in a certain way that you want, away from sort of the shadiness and I suppose the brutalness that can come with just sports in general.
Yeah, the brutalness of boxing, but the beauty that it brings too. It's a sport like no other. It's the hardest one in the business, and so many people say the managing of boxing is like working in the Wild West. But ultimately, I think to see Frank and Eddie sort of almost joining forces, and that going on out in Saudi, which is brilliant to see new young promoters coming through here, like I'm I'm working now with Izzy at GBM, which is going to be fantastic too. I think there's a lot of good in boxing as well as what people read and people hear. Of course, there's competition, there's ups and downs, there's things you've got to watch out for. But I'm very grateful to the amount of support that I got when I was ill. It's a small community, and people can help each other out as well, as we've seen with Frank and Eddie, a most unlikely sort of partnership. They're still passionate about their own businesses. I mean, Matchroom is Eddie and Frank Smith and Barry, and then you've got Frank and George on Queensbury side. So they're still very passionate about their own businesses, but if business works together, the money's right, then there's deals to be done. So, of course, there's many other managers and promoters and agents and all sorts out there that are doing a very good job, I'm sure, for their clients, but I want to look at it as that we're Summit Sports, we're different, we're coming at it from a slightly different angle. We've come together at a time where I believe athletes really need help, and we're gonna just try and do it in the most transparent and trustworthy and honest way that we can. And I want to build that trust with the athletes. I think I did at Sky over the years with many. I'm friends with many of those fighters, and it's tough. It's tough when you pick up the mic and you've got to commentate on people you know pretty well, but you've got to just put all that out the window. It's a business. This is a business. Obviously, we've got to make it a successful business, and that might mean some tough conversations, and it might mean they need some advice and difficult advice sometimes to hear as well, the athletes. But I'm going to do everything I can to help steer them in the right way. And for me, the right way is that they have a good life, and a good life beyond sport, not one that ends in difficulty and trouble. And I hope I've helped that at Sky, trying to bring the people like Johnny and Spencer and Carl into Sky and into the media, Tasha, over the years. And that's what I want to do with fighters. I want to help them out and help cross-pollinate across the different verticals and help make Summit a really strong company, but also a company that is different and that is seen in a space where we really are sort of holistically helping, and that we're really authentic.
I did just want to talk about your role at GBM. Obviously, that was announced last week. I suppose back in the mix, back in I suppose working with a promotion now. I'm excited to be back in the mix with GBM, who have exciting plans. We know Izzy wants to do so much. We see good signings like Tin and Bradley, Kieran Malloy. Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly. So it must be exciting for you.
It's fantastic, right? I've never worked on the promotional side. I mean, I work very, very closely with Eddie. So often I sometimes felt that I was Matchroom and Sky, and I worked very closely with Ben, obviously at Boxer in recent years. Before that, back in the day with Frank Warren, Frank Maloney, Ricky Hatton, Mick Hennessy, the Sauerland, so many. What I like about Izzy is that it's fresh, it's different, it's new. He's sort of, I don't know, I've known him quite a long time, but he asked me to help him, and it was I'm really grateful to be asked. I like what he's doing. I went to one of his shows. I was blown away. I've commentated for his shows. I love his enthusiasm. I love his right-hand man, Mitch Costello, and it's a great story there with unfortunately with his dad, who died far too young, who was one of our Sky team. He worked with us, Lee. So I knew Mitch when he was a young kid, and that's lovely. Now I'm working with him. So I'm really excited about GBM. I think Izzy is real. He's passionate. He's infectious, and I think he's smart. And I think he's going to make a big difference, and I want to help him. Really excited about working alongside Al Siesta. We've been like ships in the night throughout our careers, and now we're going to join forces. So GBM is a great project I'm looking forward to working for. And it's funny because I love Eddie. I was in with Eddie and Barry the other day, and I want to work with Matchroom one day, but this opportunity came up, and I told Frank Smith's like, yeah, great. And I told George Warren, and I think it's great for me because it's going to help give back, and I think I can help Izzy, and I think he'll help me, and it's fantastic to work with a couple of new young companies. So this for Summit and GBM, yeah, Director of Boxing Talent for Summit, Director of Broadcasting for GBM, and I think Summit and GBM can be linked as well, because we could be a sort of almost like we could feed GBM with some fighters, and as well obviously Boxer and Matchroom and Queensbury too, and Wasserman, my friends Callan and Nifson, let's not forget them. Some great characters in there. I fall in love too easily. I fall in love with boxers, I fall in love with promoters, I fall in love with Izzy, and I love Ollie. So I'm working with two people I really, really really admire and respect, and I got big soft spots for very quickly.
Absolutely, and obviously you was on Talksport with Izzy the other day and raised some interesting points, and I did want to get onto those points that you sort of raised. Last weekend, I suppose on the topic of domestic boxing, last weekend we saw a great domestic card in Sheffield with Matchroom. This weekend we see a great domestic card with Wardley Clark, and some great fights on the undercard of that. And whilst obviously what is happening in Saudi Arabia is great for our boxing, especially boxing in the UK, but a point you raised is important that domestic boxing isn't ignored, and I suppose we can see that with this weekend, that although whatever has happened in Saudi is great, important that we can't ignore domestic, the value of domestic cards is important as well.
I think the whole thing is important. Boxing moves and it's cyclical, and we had big times in Britain and in Germany and in America, a huge time in America. And then Turkey and Saudi have come in, and it's fantastic that we're getting the big heavyweight fights out in Saudi. Wonderful. We've also got to have the British fights too, and Ben's put on some great shows this year, so has Eddie, so has Frank, so has Calla, which is fabulous. You mentioned the Dalton Smith card last week in Sheffield. I couldn't be there. I had an evening with Joe Calzaghe, and he's in great form, by the way, and it was really good to see him. But Dalton Smith, I adore Dalton. I think he's brilliant. I've watched him from the amateurs. I saw him. I went in to wish him luck during the week, so I was in Sheffield. Great show that Eddie put on. Fantastic show on Easter Sunday. I'm working with Talksport for it, alongside Gareth and Spencer and John Rawlings. So that's really good. I'm looking forward to the Wardley Clark night with Barker and Kongu. Ben's putting on a great night. You know, these things are happening. It's fantastic. So yes, Izzy, last time I saw you was in Coventry. I just got back from Saudi. That was a great night in Saudi with AJ, but it was an equally good night in Coventry with quarantine and all those. So I think as long as we're putting on really good shows, British boxing is very important that the fans come out. It's also important that they make the trips to the big fights. So while the sun's shining on it all, let's go. And I know Izzy is very, very keen on putting on big shows in Britain and in Ireland, but he's also very keen on getting out to see what's happening in Saudi, as everyone is.
Is there a worry though that we could lose value in domestic cards? We see, just using this is a pure example, fights like Gavin Gwynn and Mark Chamberlain. These are fights that we usually see on the domestic cards in the UK. Is there a way that we may lose value, or UK boxing may be affected by fights moving over to Saudi Arabia?
I think we had the same thing with Germany and America and other places over the years. Saudi are investing hugely in the sport, and the fighters want to go. So if Gavin Gwynn is going to go over to Saudi and make more money than he is here, he's got to take his opportunities. They're fighters. This is what we're talking about with Summit. Their careers are short. You've got to maximise when you're hot, and when you're not, you want to obviously have things to support you in there. As far as Britain goes, I think there's many British shows that are going on. There's the crowds, there's the fan base. We want to tell these stories. We want to get the arenas and the stadiums packed again, and then I think everybody's happy. As long as there's money in the sport and fighters are getting paid brilliantly and they're making great professional careers and the fans are being entertained. If the big money fights are in Saudi at the moment and the big British fights are here, then so be it. But I think things turn quickly. I think fighters have got to go where the money is, and I think fans have got to go where the TV is. And there's TV. There's Sky showing so much. There's the Zone showing so much. There's TNT. There's Channel 5. The radios, BBC, Talksport. It's all happening. YouTube, Talksport showing Izzy shows. It's fantastic for the consumer, for the spectator, for the fan. Most importantly, though, Lewis, it's brilliant for the fighters. So they come first and foremost. But yeah, do I want to see big shows in Britain again? I'm going to on Easter Sunday and I can't wait.
Absolutely. Just a last couple from me. I suppose going on to domestic cards in a sense. We did see the weights get announced for the 5 versions in Saudi Arabia on June the 1st. People can sort of assume what fights will be on there. Obviously 2 heavyweight fights, a middleweight fight, a featherweight fight, and a light heavyweight fight. See it announced now, fully locked in. You must be excited looking at it as a fan, I guess.
Of course I'm excited. I'm excited by everything that happens in boxing and in sport generally. Right, I mean, I was almost in tears when Andy Murray did his ankle again. It's, I am affected by sport. Ronnie O'Sullivan still doing it on the snooker table, on the bays, the cricket, the rugby. I love it all. I'm a Liverpool fan. I want to see. I was devastated. I picked my kids up off the floor when United beat us the other day, and I want to see us win the league. So I'm invested. I'm all in. 5 against 5, Eddie against Frank, bring it on. I can't wait to see who it is. I'll be on the phone to Eddie and Frank tomorrow trying to find out. They won't tell me though. It'll be a surprise to me and it'll be a surprise to you. So yeah, can't wait.
Absolutely. Just a final one from myself. I did want to get your thoughts. Yesterday, obviously, the news came out of Conor Benn's appeal getting rejected. I suppose the appeal by the British Boxing Board of Control against Conor Benn, and UKAD got accepted. I suppose it was successful. This has obviously been a long-going situation that has gone on for so long, and it seems like it's going to go on for a lot longer. Your thoughts on the appeal being successful by the board, and I suppose the whole situation as it comes to on March 27th, 2024.
I can't really comment because, to be honest, I'm not really involved in it. I saw Conor out in Saudi. I'm a big admirer of Conor Benn. I think he's been an incredibly dedicated athlete from when I saw him when he was 14, 15 as Nigel's son, and very, very surprised by what happened. He looked me in the eye and said he didn't do anything, he's innocent. But look, I'm not a drug tester, I'm not a board member. You're going to have to ask them what the next step is, or I'm not in Conor's legal counsel or whoever else. I just want to see fighters fight, good people thrive. Congratulations to Conor for becoming a dad again. That's fantastic news during the week. I messaged him, and you just want to see the right come through. There's no place in drugs for boxing for drugs, of course not. But also, if people are innocent, then it's a horrible story. So ultimately, you've got to leave it to the board and to the drug testers and the legal guys. It's not my domain. I hope it gets sorted pretty soon, the whole thing.
Just a final one from myself about this situation, though. Do you think for how long it's prolonged, everyone by the end of it will come out with disappointment and black eyes because the situation has gone on so long and everyone's going to be unsatisfied in a sense?
Yeah, I mean the whole thing is unsatisfying. It's just not very nice, is it, for anybody? And yeah, you want it sorted, and we all want to move on with our lives. I mean, I suffered from a life-changing thing last year with cancer, and what I wanted to do was get healthy and move on. I'm sure Conor Benn, all he wants to do is fight and get on with his career, but he's got to go through legal processes, and I can't comment on that. I don't know enough, but what I do know is he looked me in the eye and told me that he's innocent.
Absolutely, Adam. Just want to say thank you for the invite tonight. I've had a great night so far, and I will continue to have a great night. As always, thank you for taking time to speak to me. Always a pleasure to catch up with you, and I suppose all the best and have a good time on Sunday night at Fabio Border against Fraser Clark, mate. Thank you. Cheers, mate. Always a pleasure, mate. Thank you. Cheers.